Good morning, class. Our today's topic is animal tissue. Before going to study about the animal tissue, we have to know that what is the particular definition of a tissue. Tissue, a group of similar cell along with the intercellular substances that perform a specific function. Means tissue are those group of the cell which have similar origin, similar function. When they are going to join together to form the tissues, all the cell perform a specific function, and it have intercellular substances. Means the substances found the intercellular level are same. So in case of the animals, on the basis of the function, the entire tissue system is divided into the four type of tissues. Number one tissue is known as the epithelial tissue, or we can say it is a covering tissue. Second tissues are known as the connective tissue, which connect the different visceral organs and body part. The third tissue is known as the muscular tissue, which is found entirely in the muscles. And the fourth one, responsibility of the control and coordination, so that it is known as the neural or neural tissues. So there are four type of tissues in case of the animals. Here is the division. In this diagram, you can see the animal tissue. So number one is the epithelial tissue or the covering tissue, and the responsibility is the protection or the covering. Muscular tissue, responsibility is the movement and locomotion. So tissues that used in the movement and locomotion are known as the muscular tissue. The tissue which are responsible for the binding of different organs and support also. Side by side, it is going to transport the different material, different chemical substances from body to here and there organs, or from organs to the body part, different body parts. So in between the different body parts, it is going to conduct the material. They are known as the binding, supports and transport tissues are known as the connective tissues. The fourth one is known as the nervous tissue. As we know that the responsibility of the nervous tissue is the control and coordination of the entire body, organs as well as animal body. Again, the epithelial tissues are of 5 types on the basis of their structure. So on the basis of structures, it may be squamous, cuboidal, cubical shape, columnar means pillar-like. Sometimes cilia is present, then it is known as the ciliated, and sometimes its responsibility is to secrete some substances, or we can say it is a glandular tissue. Muscular tissues is of 3 types: striated, non-striated and cardiac. Cardiac muscles is exclusively found in the heart tissues, and the non-striated and striated means voluntary and involuntary functions muscles. Connective tissues on the basis of their presence. When it is present in the lungs, filled with the air, alveolar tissue. When it is going to be support to the all the bones and muscles, means tendons and ligaments. Tendons responsibility is the joining of the muscles to the bone, and if we bone and bone going to attach together, means they are responsibility of this tissue to join the one bone to the another bone. It is called ligaments. When this tissue is found in the fat cells, it is known as the adipose tissue, and when it is found in the skeletal, they are known as the cartilage and bone. Means responsibility to create, to maintain the shape and size of the animal body. When this tissue is found in the fluid nature, these connective tissues are known as the blood and lymph. Now come to the epithelial tissue. The tissue covers the external surface of the body and lines the internal free surface of the hollow visceral organs. The organs which is found inside our body, the hollow organs, the visceral organs, responsibility of this tissue is to line up to maintain the covering of the entire body organ. These cells are arranged compactly with very little extracellular materials. Means outside the cell a very thin or very few material is there. So these tissues are compactly arranged. Here is the diagram of stratified squamous tissues, covering tissues. You can see the cytoplasm of this tissue, nucleus is already there. And one very important thing that on the base or the lining, a cement-like substances is found in these tissues, epithelial tissues. So means these tissues are rest over on a membrane. That membrane is known as the basement membrane. So cell rest on a non-cellular basement membrane and receive the nutrients from the underlying connective tissues. Means the connective tissues are found just below that cellular membrane or cellular basement membrane, and it can receive the nutrients from that connective tissue. So no connective tissue is found in the epithelial tissues, no blood circulation is there, but it can absorb by the method of the diffusion from the nearby or from the underlying connective tissues. Simple epithelial tissues are squamous type, cuboidal type, columnar, ciliated and glandular. And compound epithelial tissues are of two types. One is known as the stratifieds and second is known as the transitional. So these are the simple and compound epithelial tissues. Now come to the simple epithelial tissues. First type is simple squamous epithelial tissues. Cells are thin, flat and irregular boundary. When we examine these tissues under the microscope, we find that the cells are very thin, flat and totally irregular boundaries is there. You can see in this diagram squamous epithelial tissues having the cytoplasm, nucleus and cement substances is in between the tissues. Inner lining of alveoli blood cells, it is found near the blood vessels also, and in the body cavity, the peritoneum of the body cavity, peritoneum is that cavity found in the animal body, in the human body also, and these tissues are found here, and the purpose of these tissues are help in the diffusion process. Simple cuboidal epithelial tissues appear just like a cube-like structure, cuboidal or cubical, found in the smaller duct of the salivary glands and pancreatic glands, and the functions are the secretion and absorption. You can see in this picture the cuboidal epithelial tissues having cytoplasm, nucleus, cement membrane, cement substances and basement membrane. The structure of the simple cuboidal epithelial tissues. Simple columnar epithelial tissues, you can see here a column-like structure. Cells are tall, pillar-like with one oval nucleus in each cell, found in the surface of the stomach, intestine, gastric gland and intestinal gland. You have here heard the name villi in the previous classes. So it is found in that area of that is stomach, intestine and gastric gland, and the main purpose is the absorption and secretion. Columnar cells, column-like structure, basement membrane is also here. Simple ciliated epithelial tissues means cells bear cilia, hair-like projections on their free surface, and it is found in the fallopian tubes or oviduct for passing the ovum from ovary towards the uterus. Bronchioles in the area for the respiratory purpose and nasal passage also. The cilia help in the movement of ova mucus in the particular direction. So ciliated epithelial tissues you can see here in this diagram. A cilia, a very fine hair-like projections that is found on the surface of this tissue. Next simple epithelial tissue is called the glandular epithelial tissue. Those columnar cuboidal cells which are specialized for the secretion when it is going to secrete something or constitutes the gland, it is known as the glandular. So glands are unicellular sometimes multicellular also, and for the secretion of these cells there is a special kind of cells called the goblet cells, mucus cells are found in this type of epithelial tissue. And secretory glands are of two types, exocrine and endocrine. Two type of secretory glands. In endocrine glands, the glands which do not have a duct, means ductless gland, that pour for the secretion directly into the blood. So secretions goes down to the directly to the blood. No duct is found in here in the endocrine glands, and mainly they are responsible to secrete the hormones like in the thyroid glands, thymus gland, pituitary glands, pancreatic glands. All glands are known as the endocrine glands. In exocrine glands, the glands which have duct to pour the secretion into a particular tissue or organ, and responsibility of these exocrine glands is to secrete the mucus, saliva, digestive enzymes, means they are found in the salivary glands, mammary glands, sebaceous glands of the ear, responsible to secrete the wax for the lubricating purpose. It is a diagrammatic representation of this exocrine and endocrine. You can see here it is found in the skin surface. Chemical that produced by the glands is going to secrete over here, and in the blood capillaries this hormone secreted from the endocrine glands. So endocrine glands are responsible to secrete the hormones. Now the second type of epithelial tissues are known as the compound epithelial tissue. Compound means they having more than one layer of cells. In simple epithelial tissue you can see there is only one layer of tissue is found in the covering tissue. But here if more than one layer of cells are found, this epithelial tissues are called the compound tissue. And the function is to provide the protection against the chemical and mechanical stress, because it have a thick line structure, so it can protect the any body part from any chemical and mechanical stress. Only the cells of the deepest layer that rest on the basement membrane. The deepest layer is rest on basement, other are on the upper side. And on the basis of their locations and function, it may be stratified or transitional. So located on the internal cavity, body surface gland, and in the urinary bladder also. The second type of tissue is found in animals are known as the connective tissue. As the name denotes that it is going to connect, means they bind or link or connect the different tissues and organs together and support them. They are most abundant and widely distributed tissues in an animal body. mostly, widely distributed, found everywhere. And the major components of these tissues are the cells, fibers, and the filling material is known as the matrix. So cells are loosely arranged and widely separated by the extracellular material that is called the matrix. So they are loosely means the extracellular materials found in this tissue, and it is composed of the glycoprotein, glycogen and protein. These fibers are made up of the collagen fiber. You can say it is an elastin fiber. It provides the tensile strength. It may be tensile and having a power of elasticity also and flexibility to the tissue. So due to the presence of the fibers in this tissue, the cells are very flexible and elastic towards the tissue level. There are two types of connective tissues. One are loosely connective tissue, that is the loose, and another is the dense connective tissue, means having a tough structure. In the case of the loose connective tissue, the cells and fibers loosely arranged in the matrix. For example, it is found in the areolar tissues of the lungs or respiratory tract on the respiratory system, and adipose tissues found in the associated with the lipids or fat are the example of the loose connective tissues. And in case of the dense connective tissues, the cells and fibers are compactly packed, and if the fibers and fibroblasts are irregular in orientation, it is called the dense irregular tissue that is found in the skin. Dense connective tissue is found in the skin, having a fiber and fibroblast are irregular. And if the orientation is called the very dense regular tissues, it is found in the tendons and ligaments, which are responsible to join muscle to the bone and bone to the bone. Specialized connective tissues are the third one, having a very special character and function. They are known as the bone, cartilage and blood. These three tissues are known as the special type of connective tissue. One is the bone. Bone, we know that the matrix of the bone is hard, non-palleable, and very rich in the calcium and salt. So it is a very hard, no elasticity, means non-palleable, and having the collagen fibers also with the calcium salt. So it occurs in a concentric layer that is called the lamelles, a very concentric, a very hard performance, and the performance are very important functions. We know that bone is very important for any animals. So very important function to create a definite shape and structure also. And second one is the cartilage. Cartilage is also responsible for make the skeleton or the structure, and the matrix of this cartilage is semi-rigid. In bone it was non-palleable, but here is a semi-rigid, some things palleable and resist to the compression also. So it can be compressed. Its cells called the chondrocytes. The cells of the bone was called the osteocytes, and it is known as the chondrocytes. Are locked in the cavity. Sometimes the cavity is present there, and the cavity is called the lacunae in the matrix. Third one is the blood. It is known as the fluid connective tissue. That tissue nature is like a fluid nature. Those matrix called the plasma. Very liquid substance, plasma. And in the blood, the plasma having three types of cells, RBC, that it also known as the erythrocytes, red blood cells. Second one is white blood cells or leukocytes, and third one is known as the platelets or thrombocytes. So these three cells are present in the plasma matrix. Matrix are in the liquid form, and it is going to maintain the circulating fluid of the body and in support of the various substances. It can transport all the substances from one place to another place. So blood and lymph both are fluid connective tissue. Here you can see a diagrammatic presentation, a picture of the areolar connective tissue, where it is adipose, white color fat-like structure is deposit here. Fibrous connective tissue, just like a line, long filaments and fibrous. Osteocyte tissues means it is found in the bone. It is loosely compact in cartilage. It is the picture of the hyaline cartilage, and if there is a blood, a yellow color lymph is there. A yellow color structure, that is the matrix or plasma, and RBC and WBC are found here. In the dense connective tissues, the picture is very dense. In adipose, it is connective tissues. Areolar, in air is filled here. Compact, in the case of the bone and bone tissues. And in the blood, it is a connective tissues. This is a fluid structure. So these are the picture of this tissue. Now come to the third tissue, that is known as the muscular tissue. In animals, the third tissue is known as the muscular tissue, and it is composed of a very long cylindrical muscle cells or fibers, and each fibers is made up of numerous fine myofibrils, means a very fine fiber compact together to form a muscle cells or muscle fiber. It is known as the myofibril. Myofibril shows a number of contractile unit, that is called the sarcomere. How it is going to contract and relax? Each and every muscles tissues have power of contraction. Why this contraction is present over here in case of the muscular tissue? Because a contractile unit, that is called the sarcomere, it is found in each myofibrils. And the type of this tissue is striated, non-striated, smooth muscles also, and cardiac. The communication junctions in between the two cells are called the intercalated disc is present at the junction of first and last, before and below the branches of two different cardiac muscles fibers. The junction is present. Here, with this help of this picture, first one is the striated, unstriated, and cardiac. Striated tissues are known having a long lemma, sarcolemma is there. The covering is known as the sarcolemma, and you can see here two bands are here, light band and dark band. Means they are myofibrils are here, and it have going to contract on the appearance, on the doing of your willpower. Unstriated muscles are sarcoplasm, sarcolemma is there, but myofibrils you can find, but it is a conical structures. It did not depend upon your willpower. It is an unstriated muscles. Smooth muscles is also known name of this tissue. And third one is the cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles is found in the heart. You can see here the junction is there, a very thin sarcolemma, branch fibers, but having a intercalated disc, means the joining of these muscles with the help of this disc. The last and the fourth tissue is called the neural tissue or nervous tissue system, or the entire nervous tissues. It is consist of a neuron and neuroglial cells. So nerve cells, the longest cell of any animal, including human also. So it is made up of neural tissues is made up of two type of cells. One is the neurons, it is also known as the nerve cell, and another is the neuroglial cells. Neurons are the structural and functional unit of the neural tissue. Means the structure and function is performed by the neurons, and neuroglial cells are the supporting cells in the neural tissues. means they support and protect the neurons. So side by side these cells, neuroglial cells, are there for the supporting of these neurons. And neurons is known as the largest or the nerve cells responsible to conduct the impulses from one tissue to another tissue, one cell to another cell, one organ to another organs. And this tissue is found in everywhere. Here you can see in this picture a dendrites is there. The dendrites are responsible to join the another nervous tissues or the nerve cells, and in the center or appearance of the center, the cell membrane with the nucleus, cell body, is also known as the soma. Soma is known as the cell body, and axon is there, and one seat is also found in some neurons, not in the each and every neurons, but in the some neurons there is a seat of the myelin. Myelin is that substance, and the myelin seat is there, and in the centers these are known as the node of Ranvier, where the seat is not present. And node of Ranvier is denoting with the name of the scientist Ranvier, which have discovered this. And oligodendrocyte cells are present in known as the supporting cells, and after that valve-like structure is found, that is known as the synapse. Synapse is responsible to join the another nerve cell. So this is the basic structure of the animal tissue. Thank you and have a nice day.